Thank you for joining us for another episode of Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here at the News Forum, where all voices matter. Is Canada in an economic war with China? Our guest will address this and maybe even a few other topics. She is Raquel Garbers, a visiting executive at the Centre for International Governance and Innovation from Canada's Department of National Defence. Welcome to Boom and Bust.
Thank you, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to zoom out and get us up to 40,000 feet, and then we can zoom back in. But I'd really love to get your sense of the world that you see now in this post-Cold War era.
Well, look, at the risk of understating things, I think I would start by echoing the warning that military leaders across NATO have been putting out with increasing urgency for the last number of years. And it's effectively this: we are in a really bad place. The trend line is straight down and it's accelerating. And in fact, we are now in a situation where we face the prospect of finding ourselves in a major war. This didn't happen overnight. The reality is that hostile states have been waging what I like to call a quiet war against the United States and its allies for more than 30 years now. And the purpose of that war was to shift the balance of power away from the United States so that it could not hold their hostilities in check. That's where we are. That's what's happening in the world. And that's why it's so important that Canadians have the opportunity to understand the role that the quiet war has played, and in specific, the economic war.
Yeah, and we'll get to that for sure. I can't help but ask you, as we saw those, I would say, shocking images from Tiananmen Square just a few days ago with the Chinese military parade, so-called to celebrate the victory over Japan in the war, but really sending another message to the world, was it not?
Oh, absolutely. The message was very clear. The message was effectively what we know, and it's time we all know, which is that the balance of power has flipped. The United States cannot hold the hostile states in check, and it certainly can't do it alone. We've really reached the point where what you're seeing with the United States right now is that it's made a decision, and its decision is a stark choice it was facing, really. And that was to either continue on the status quo with the growing prospect of war, or to make radical reform at breakneck speed. And that's what's happening right now. The United States is moving at speed to rebuild its economic and military power, and all of the allies need to be a part of that because we all depend on the United States as the anchor ally.
Well, and you raise a good point, and indeed, let's take the last 3 decades as you did it at the outset. For 30 plus years, America's allies, certainly in NATO, have not been really investing in collective security, and that really has come to the fore now as a point that has weakened the alliance, has it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And the situation is actually worse than that. It's not simply that the allies collectively shirked their responsibilities, but while the United States was paying for the defense, at the same time, the allies were investing their money in ever more generous social welfare systems. And worse still, they've been playing footsies, economic footsies with China. And China has used its economic warfare through those footsies in order to build up its military power. So we're in a perverse situation where not only were the allies not living up to their obligations, but worse still, they were actually subsidizing Beijing's war machine. Now, that actually includes the United States as well, and there's a lot to unpack in there. But the point is, we have been, to some degree, willfully blind.
Yeah, and complicit, I suppose, is the
and
right word.
complicit.
Do you think Canada has gotten the message now?
You know, it's a funny thing. Many of us in the security and defense community would say to ourselves, what is it going to take? And we would say one of two things. Either war is going to break out, or Donald Trump 2.0 is going to come to the White House. And that is exactly what has happened. That is what we call in the military the forcing function that is causing the allies to wake up. The United States, of course, has confirmed its commitment to NATO and to Article 5, and it has also done something that no other administration was able to do for a very long time, which is to shake the allies out of their complacency and to have them invest in their defense again.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that, and obviously our new Prime Minister Mark Carney has made a lot of commitments, And we're at the point of waiting to see what that means in real terms. But at least his rhetoric is on the side of more meaningful investments in military. Raquel Garbers, we're going to take a bit of a break for our commercials. We'll be back with you in a few moments.